Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. I'm joined by Dan Holt and Nick Pateman as always. I'm James McFarlane, and this week we're going to be talking about PR. And I'm going to start off with a very simple question. In 2013, guys, is PR the new SEO? And I'd like Nick to start off.
Is PR the new SEO? PR is part of SEO. SEO is now kind of inbound marketing. It's not really just a link building process anymore. And PR is probably the most effective way now of getting good links. I think we'd all agree on that. Sure, press releases and public relations are going to be a big deal in this year. Probably more than ever now because people are kind of focusing on better quality content, and that kind of lends itself to PR anyway. So I think that's kind of where we're going.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely not the new SEO. I mean, SEO is all about content. It's all about remarkable, relevant, and sort of technically sound content. And then it's a case of leveraging that content to achieve certain signals, whether that's links, citations, social engagement, etc. And of course, when it comes to many of those signals, particularly, I suppose, links, citations, and social, I think PR can play an absolutely massive role.
I know,
but it is peripheral. It's not. It's not the core. It's not the core.
Well, the reason why I asked the question is because in 2012 we've all moved, and Google's definitely kind of said that they moved towards brand signals. And what better way to get brand signals than PR? Yeah. Anyway, so thank you for those answers. The second question I want to talk about in relation to PR is, for those of you who don't know, Matt Cutts in December stated that press release distribution links in themselves don't provide any value to your ranking in the search engines. Now, I want to focus on this because it was quite a vague statement that he made. Now, I want to ask two questions, or one question. How much does a story have to change in order to be considered valid in Google's eyes? And is it just about authority of the site, or does it have to be unique content when your press release takes off and gets distributed? Nick, do you want to go first?
I'll start? Okay. I screwed around with press releases about 6 or 7 years ago, doing all these free press release submissions, just kind of like playing around, seeing what works and what didn't. The amount of terrible links I got back then was like incredible. Like, you would just get picked up by all these free PR distribution services, and you kind of your content would just be duplicated. You get like a rubbish little link in that content, which is the link that you put in there in the first place. And those links, I'm amazed that Matt Cutts has even mentioned this, but to me it was like a really obvious thing. Like, a link that's on a crap, low authority site with duplicate content, yeah, that's not going to pass any value. I think we all know that, and that's not the issue here. I think the issue is that press releases aren't being picked up. The ones that don't get picked up by quality sites like BBC News or like The Independent or any other like respected newspaper online, those press releases they do great, but the ones that don't get picked up, they just sit there on those free distribution sites with like terrible links that we all know are terrible. Like, there's no value in it.
What about yourself, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt Cutts maybe overstating it slightly. I think there's still instances where a press release link could pass some value.
Because for instance, sorry to cut you off, but for instance, if you use I think PR Newswire, or something I think it's Newswire or something like that, you get an instant link from Yahoo, right? Their lifestyle section or whatever, right? And that's just a copy of your press release put up. So does that, even though Yahoo has a lot of authority as a site, do you reckon that carries any weight?
It might carry marginally more than a crap.
I think what I'd say is it's definitely be an exaggeration to say that under no circumstances could one of those links ever pass the link juice. Of course they could, but it's also unquestionable that the authority of the domain on which the link exists, and also the amount of unique copy within the article is obviously going to have huge bearing on it. So if it is literally just an absolute duplicate piece, then yeah, it's probably not going to be of much value.
Free press releases, they once kind of had a bit of a purpose, probably not even that much back then. That's like when directory links were good and stuff.
I think when Google didn't understand them.
Now Google gets it. It's just not worth doing unless you're...
So basically, I mean, my opinion is this, like when you use a press release service, the links that you get given from distributing your press release to, hundreds, thousands of sites aren't going to help you rank. But what is going to help you is if someone picks up that press release rewrites it slightly, or doesn't rewrite it a lot, rewrites it just a small amount, but puts it on an authority site.
Well, I think that's the key, is if it ends up on a really legitimate, really authoritative website that takes pride in the content that it publishes, then it's unlikely to be purely duplicate anyway, in which case, you would
exactly. We're getting tied up with the fact it's a press release. It doesn't matter that it's a press release or not. It's just the standard principles that you don't want links that are tied up in like crappy duplicate content on low authority sites. This is, for me, it's as simple as that.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, guys. And the final question that I have for this week is, and you know, we're talking about press releases here. Yeah. I want you guys. You got just maybe 5-10 seconds to think of this, right?
Okay.
I want you to come up with a press release idea revolving around Dan Holt. Okay, right. So you wanted to get Dan Holt in the paper for some reason. What would give?
What, you talk about title or like?
Yeah, just like the kind of a title or a concept.
Just a title.
So guys, you've got 5 seconds, and I'm going to ask Nick first. Okay.
Okay.
5, 4,
I'm there.
3.
Cut
Let's go, Nick.
Dan Holt cracks Google algorithm code.
Okay.
It could work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically true.
He worked out that links impacted rankings. I think that was probably the crack.
Yeah. And then
I'm going to need to adjust my my conclusion if that's true. I think maybe something more like how to cope with being bullied by nerds in the workplace. I think maybe some sort of infographic representing how me as the only non-technical person, how I have to put up with this constant abuse and all the places that it hurts, mostly here.
It's coming out okay.
Well, guys, I've come up with 2. The first one, A Gentleman's Guide to the Internet. Okay, and it's just a guide to how gentlemen should use the internet, and Dan kind of will get quoted in it, right? We position Dan as a gentleman. And the second one is local hero. And like before I go into this second one, okay, just bear in mind like you might have to pretend, like you might have to
say local hero. Was that?
Yeah, just you might have to exaggerate this, right? Local hero rescues Dan Holt from a fire. Yeah.
So it wasn't at all internet marketing related?
No, it was just a sort of angle to get Dan Holt into the...
Okay, well that's
fun. So am I going to actually have to be in a fire at some point?
Yeah, well I'd just say you have to...
Well, embellish in PR, that's unfortunately the truth.
That's fine.
Well, thank you very much guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.